Well, guys, today it's getting personal, so buckle up. Do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. It's one of the 12 rules of life that Jordan B. Peterson teaches. In this chapter, Jordan says that it is okay to slap a kid when it is necessary. I agree. To some degree, a slap is a necessary function in the society, even against other grown-ups.
One word, and I hit you again.
I'm telling Mother.
Go. Tell her.
The slap is never to be cancelled, but there is a but. I myself come from a culture and a childhood where slapping a kid was just as mundane as a Tuesday dinner. And I turned out, okay, I guess. I am not a professor or in any way on the same level as Jordan to debate on this, but I am a human and I can speak from my own experience and my reflections upon those experiences, as Jordan often says we should. I believe there are moments when a slap seems to be the only way to get the attention of someone who has lost the grip of reality. When it comes to a kid, this could work if the kid has both parents. I had a little video where I attempted a joke on this subject. The one where I compared the philosophy people have of single mothers with Jesus and his mother that raised him without a father. Yes, he had Joseph, but that wasn't his real father. And yes, he had God as a father, if you believe that, but still, God was not teaching him how to ride a bike, more than God has been teaching that to us. The point was to take your temp on the subject, but my joke fell flat, as my jokes always do. That's why I react to stand-up instead of making it. The thing is though, that I do believe that a kid needs both parents. But it's not about single mom or single dad. It's about the need of both. Here is why. Every child trying to grow into a functioning adult needs both barriers and safety. If a child only has one parent, and even worse, is an only child, you have a tricky situation. I'm a strong believer that every child needs to have at least one connection in the family where fear is not a factor. Let me speak from that experience I mentioned. I have the best mother in the world. I don't care about how good your mama is. Mine is still the best. I grew up alone with my mother. She is the strong type. You know, the type that always finds a way. She has an allergy for weakness, so there was no place for that. My mother grew up in a big family. She had 4 brothers and 3 sisters. And still, my grandfather used to say that my mother was the one who was supposed to be born a man and the rest could have been girls. Because of her personality, not because they were woke. She has been the one to make the most money in the family, to provide for the whole herd of siblings. She never drank, she never smoked, and in general, never had any of those flaws that make you a little bit humble. That is the one thing she's not. She's not humble. What I'm trying to say is that my mother was a hard woman. She has softened up with age, but her bullshit radar is still going strong. Now to the point. She never really beat me in a way that would cause any harm, but I got my fair share of slapping when it was due. I understand now what her intentions were. To be honest, I knew even then that she didn't do it just out of spite. But still, it gave the direct opposite effect of what she wanted to achieve. Every slap I got put a wall between us, a distance that takes such an inner war to break down as an adult. And I was a sensitive kid, not very emotional though. I didn't start to cry until I grew up. That is a bad combination to have in a child, because then you don't really see the harm you're causing, since the sensitive but not emotional kid just shuts off instead of showing a reaction. This distance grew with age. I started to lie a lot to not get into trouble for shit. Another bad habit that stuck for way too long. I of course killed it eventually, but it took time. I got into a lot of fights at school and took out that aggression that way. But aggression does not just simply go out, it circulates and accumulates. I think it might have been different if my father didn't die when I was a child, if he had been around to say, "Your mama is right, but you will be okay, kid." Just someone I could run to when mama was mad. But that was not the case. When I got slapped by the only person that mattered in this giant world in my childish head. That took away from the feeling of safety and trust. And unfortunately, not just for a moment. Those were just seeds that planted into the soil of my soul. I wish I had known better than to feel totally alone and helpless in those moments. But I didn't. And unfortunately, the fact that I know better today does not change the past. The things that I know today cannot make up for the years of bad relationship with my mother. It can't make up for all the years I spent revolting against everything that I've been taught just because I no longer trusted Dad. And fear was never enough to keep me in lane. I do not make this video to complain about my upbringing, not at all. I just want to give my perspective based on my experiences and even observations. Just let's take a step back. Even if we look at the community I live in Sweden. Here we have a lot of foreigners and immigrants, myself included. And it's always our immigrant kids that raise the most hell in this country. If slapping a kid around was a solution, this would make no sense. Because Swedish people do not hate their kids. They have a different approach, and still they grow up to be decent human beings, and most of them, the most law-obedient people you will ever meet. While our imported kids that get the healthy slapping are filling up the prisons. If you really believe that slapping a kid around is a way to discipline, then you have to be ready to advance that. A kid that gets slapped 3 times no longer gets hurt, just humiliated. What happens when slapping is not enough? What happens when your kid no longer fears you? What is left of the relationship with your kid then? Love? That is not enough. Believe me, that is not enough. Loving, trusting, and respecting someone are all very different things. And all 3 crucial for a healthy relationship. So no, my dear Jordan Peterson, as much as I love your philosophy on most things, this one I have to disagree on. Do not hate your damn kids. Unless they touch my things with their dirty ass hands, then beat the shit out of the bastards. Last part is a joke. Feels like I have to point that out. just in case. And guys, as usual, I would love to know your experiences and your standpoints on this subject. Have you received some slapping yourself? Have you given some? And what's your philosophy around it? See you in the comment section.
All because of a war you started.
You're talking to a king!
And now I've struck a king. Did my hand fall from my wrist?